The internet exploded overnight, and this time the storm wasn't just another celebrity headline. It was a wildfire of whispers, theories, and questions that refused to stay buried. Everywhere people looked, there was one name dominating the conversation: Meghan. And just when many thought the endless speculation surrounding her life had finally started to fade into the background, a mysterious new voice appeared out of nowhere and poured gasoline onto a fire that had already been burning for years. The timing could not have been worse. For weeks, Meghan had been trying to steer public attention toward new projects, new appearances, and a carefully crafted image of moving forward. But the internet has a strange habit of dragging old stories back into the spotlight. One viral post became 10. 10 became 100. Before long, social media was flooded with debates, arguments, and endless analysis from people convinced they had discovered something everyone else had missed. And then came the alleged witness. Nobody seemed to know where this person came from. Nobody could agree on whether the claims were meaningful, exaggerated, or completely unreliable. Yet somehow, within hours, clips and screenshots were spreading across platforms at lightning speed. The mystery surrounding the individual became almost bigger than the story itself. Who were they? Why speak now? And why did the internet become obsessed almost instantly? That was the question nobody could answer. The more people searched for information, the less clarity they seemed to find. Every explanation created 3 new questions. Every attempt to shut down the speculation somehow fueled it even further. Meanwhile, Meghan found herself caught in the center of another online frenzy. Supporters argued that she had become the target of an endless cycle of rumors that never seemed to disappear no matter how many years passed. Critics claimed that public curiosity naturally grows whenever questions remain unanswered. Neutral observers simply watched the spectacle unfold, amazed at how quickly the discussion had taken over social media. What made the situation even stranger was the atmosphere surrounding it. The internet wasn't treating this like a normal celebrity story. It felt more like a mystery unfolding in real time. Thousands of users began examining old interviews, old photographs, old public appearances, searching for details they believed connected to the latest claims. Some thought they found patterns. Others insisted there were none. The arguments became louder, the theories became wilder, and the attention became impossible to ignore. As the days passed, one thing became increasingly obvious. The story was no longer about facts. It had become about perception. People weren't just discussing Meghan anymore. They were discussing trust. They were discussing public image. They were discussing how celebrity narratives are created, challenged, defended, and reshaped in front of millions of people. Every side believed it was winning. Every side believed the evidence supported its view, and every side seemed more determined than ever to convince everyone else. Behind the scenes, observers wondered whether this latest controversy would eventually fade away like so many others before it. But others weren't so sure, because unlike previous waves of speculation, this one felt different. It felt bigger, it felt louder, and perhaps most importantly, it arrived during a moment when public fascination with royal drama was already reaching a boiling point. Suddenly, every appearance was being analyzed, every comment was being interpreted, every silence was being questioned. And while nobody knew where the story would ultimately lead, one thing was becoming impossible to deny. The conversation was growing faster than anyone could control it. As the mystery deepened, attention turned toward what might happen next. Would new information emerge? Would the rumors finally fade? Or would another unexpected twist send the entire internet into an even greater frenzy? At that point, nobody knew. But the feeling hanging over the entire story was unmistakable. This was no longer just another headline. It had become a spectacle, and the world was watching. What happened next was exactly what nobody expected. Instead of calming down, the online conversation seemed to develop a life of its own. Every day brought another theory. Every theory sparked another debate. Every debate attracted thousands of new people who had never paid attention to the story before. Suddenly, the discussion was no longer limited to royal watchers or celebrity commentators. Ordinary people were getting involved, sharing opinions, dissecting interviews, and arguing over details that most would have ignored only weeks earlier. And through it all, Meghan appeared trapped inside a storm she couldn't control. The strange thing about internet controversies is that they rarely stay focused on one subject. They expand, they evolve, they absorb every old grievance, every unresolved question, and every lingering criticism until the original issue almost disappears beneath the weight of everything attached to it. That seemed to be exactly what was happening. What began as one viral claim soon transformed into a broader discussion about image management, public trust, and the difference between privacy and publicity. Suddenly, people weren't simply asking questions about one rumor. They were revisiting years of headlines, interviews, documentaries, public appearances, and social media moments. The deeper they looked, the more divided they became. Supporters insisted that the relentless speculation proved how unfairly Meghan was treated compared to other public figures. Critics argued that the constant controversies were impossible to ignore because they kept resurfacing under different circumstances. Meanwhile, countless spectators simply watched the spectacle unfold like a never-ending drama series. Then came another unexpected twist. Several prominent commentators began openly disagreeing with each other. Some urged people to stop spreading rumors and focus on verified information. Others claimed that unanswered questions naturally invite speculation. Their arguments played out in public, generating even more attention and pushing the story into new audiences. It was as if every attempt to close the conversation somehow reopened it, and somewhere in the middle of all this noise stood Harry. Observers began noticing something unusual. Every time the controversy intensified, attention inevitably shifted toward him. If people wondered what he thought, they wondered how he felt. They wondered whether he was frustrated by the constant cycle of speculation surrounding his family. No one seemed to have answers. The silence only made people more curious. That curiosity became another source of momentum for the story. Online communities started analyzing everything from public appearances to social media activity. Every gesture became a clue. Every absence became a mystery. Every ordinary moment was transformed into something larger by people determined to uncover hidden meaning. The result was chaos. Not factual chaos. Perception chaos. And perception can be just as powerful, because once enough people start asking questions, the questions themselves often become the story. Weeks passed, yet the conversation refused to disappear. Instead, it kept finding new energy from unexpected places. A comment here, a podcast discussion there, a viral post somewhere else. None of them provided definitive answers, but together they kept the story alive. What made the situation remarkable was how little certainty actually existed. For all the noise, all the theories, and all the endless online arguments, very few people could agree on what was true. But certainty wasn't driving the discussion anymore. Emotion was. People were reacting not only to information, but to how that information made them feel. Some felt suspicious. Others felt protective. Some felt exhausted by the endless cycle of speculation. Others couldn't look away. That emotional investment ensured the story remained impossible to ignore. And perhaps that was the biggest revelation of all. The alleged witness who appeared out of nowhere may or may not have changed anything substantial. Yet their arrival accomplished something else entirely. They reminded millions of people that certain controversies never truly disappear. They simply wait for the right moment to return. As the frenzy continued, one reality became increasingly clear. The internet had transformed a single rumor into a global spectacle. Whether the conversation would eventually fade or evolve into something even larger remained impossible to predict. But one thing was certain. The story had entered a new chapter. The questions were louder. The speculation was fiercer. The audience was bigger. And somewhere beyond the headlines, beyond the theories, and beyond the endless online arguments, the next twist was already waiting. Because in the world of celebrity drama, the ending rarely arrives when people expect it. Sometimes the biggest surprise isn't the rumor itself. It's what happens after everyone starts believing there might be more to the story than anyone originally imagined.